Before we start, do not forget to subscribe our channel. Let us begin. There are still a few months to go before the 2022 iPhone 14 models will be ready to launch. But because there are some notable updates in the works for these devices, we've been hearing rumors about them since well before the iPhone 13 models even came out. iPhone sizes are changing in 2022, and Apple is eliminating the 5.4 inches iPhone mini as it turned out to be unpopular with customers. After seeing lackluster iPhone mini sales, Apple is planning to focus on larger iPhone sizes for its flagship devices. And we're expecting to see a 6.1 inches iPhone 14, a 6.1 inches iPhone 14 Pro, a 6.7 inches iPhone 14 Max, and a 6.7 inches iPhone 14 Pro Max. Note that there will be no 5.4 inches iPhone 14 mini this year. Since 2017, iPhones with Face ID have had a notch at the front to house all the necessary equipment for facial scanning. But that's set to change with the launch of the iPhone 14. The 2022 iPhone 14 Pro models are expected to eliminate the notch in favor of a new design. Rumors were all over the place for a bit, but it looks like Apple will go with some combination of a circular hole punch cutout for the camera paired with a pill-shaped cutout to house the key Face ID component. This feature will unfortunately be limited to the Pro models, and the more affordable iPhone 14 models will continue to feature a standard notch. We are not expecting any significant design changes this year, but the camera bumps for the iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Pro could get thicker, with the Pro's bump growing in size more notably. Apple is expected to introduce new color options, perhaps adding a purple shade. The iPhone 14 Pro models may feature a titanium frame instead of a stainless steel frame, and redesigned speaker and microphone grills are a possibility. Apple could also use a new vapor chamber thermal system that will keep the iPhone cooler to minimize the impact of faster chips and 5G connectivity. New iPhones always include camera improvements, and the iPhone 14 is no exception. There will be improvements to the ultra-wide camera, and there's a possibility that Apple will introduce a periscope zoom lens that allows for much greater optical zoom. But it's still not yet clear if this will come in 2022 or 2023. The Pro iPhone models are expected to get 48 megapixel cameras and 8 Kelvin video recording capabilities, but these features will not be available on the standard iPhone 14 models. Rumors suggest that the iPhone 14 models are likely to continue to use the same A15 chip that was introduced in the iPhone 13 series, while the iPhone 14 Pro models receive an updated A16 chip. This would mark the first time that the Pro iPhone models get a faster chip, with Apple perhaps going this route to cut down on costs, and also because of ongoing supply issues. Apple is expected to use Qualcomm's Snapdragon X65 chip, which is the first 10 gigabit 5G modem with faster connectivity speeds and connectivity improvement. Alongside the X65, Apple is expected to introduce new satellite-based emergency features that will let users send texts in emergency situations and report accidents with no cellular coverage, no notch, and new Face ID hardware design. For at least some of the iPhone 14 models, namely the Pro models, Apple is working to eliminate the notch that houses the hardware needed for Face ID. The notch was a controversial design decision when it was introduced in 2017, and since then it's changed little with the exception of the size tweak with the iPhone 13. Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo said in March 2021 that the 2022 iPhone models would not have a notch, and would instead adopt a hole punch style design that's been popular on many Android phones. Since then, rumors have evolved and we have a clearer picture of what to expect. Rather than just a single hole punch cutout, Apple is working on a design that will incorporate both a pill-shaped cutout and a circular cutout. The circular cutout will likely house the Face ID dot projector, and the pill-shaped cutout will include the front camera, Face ID infrared camera, and possibly other components. Apple may also be planning to put some of the Face ID hardware under the iPhone's display, which will cut down on the sizes of the cutouts that are needed and will leave more available screen space on the front of the device. That said, the two cutouts together are not too much different in size than the standard notch, so don't expect much more available display area. Though the iPhone 14 Pro models are going to get a different front-facing camera setup, the standard iPhone 14 and 14 Max models are going to feature regular notches, and will look similar to the iPhone 13 models. Pro Motion Display. There are early iPhone 14 rumors suggesting that all 4 iPhone 14 models coming in 2022 could offer Pro Motion displays with refresh rates up to 120 Hz, but it looks like that's not going to happen. Apple is likely to restrict Pro Motion technology to the iPhone 14 Pro model, a move that display analyst Ross Young attributes to a lack of availability of the necessary displays. Young has made it clear that he believes 120Hz refresh rates will remain an iPhone 14 Pro feature. Always-on display technology is also expected to be introduced as an iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max exclusive. Korean website The Elec has said that at least one of the iPhone models coming next year will use a standard LTPS OLED display without 120Hz ProMotion technology, which supports Young's statements. Analyst Jeff Pu has claimed that the feature will come to all iPhone 14 models, but he is not known for his reliability. Body design. The iPhone 14 models are expected to look like the iPhone 13 models with the same flat-edge design. Leaker John Prosser claimed that Apple would introduce a thicker chassis with no rear camera bump and round volume buttons, but his information appears to have been incorrect based on later rumors and part leaks. Alleged renders depicting the iPhone 14 models surfaced in March, and the renders suggest that the standard iPhone 14 models will have no design changes, featuring the same look as the iPhone 13 models. There will be a standard notch along with the exact same camera bump at the back with the diagonal camera layout. There is no iPhone 14 mini, with Apple offering two 6.1 inches iPhones and two 6.7 inches iPhones. As rumored, the camera bumps are about 5% larger, and cases designed for the iPhone 13 models are unlikely to fit the iPhone 14 models because of the size increase. The different camera bump sizes are best demonstrated in a set of leaked cases that are said to be for the iPhone 14 devices. The cases include the iPhone 14 Pro Max, iPhone 14 Max, iPhone 14 Pro, and iPhone 14, in that order in the image below. Size options. There will be no 5.4 inches iPhone in 2022 because Apple is doing away with the mini line following lackluster sales. The iPhone 13 mini will be the last of the mini phones, and going forward, Apple is expected to focus on larger-sized iPhones. We're expecting a 6.1 inches iPhone 14, a 6.1 inches iPhone 14 Pro, a 6.7 inches iPhone 14 Max, and a 6.7 inches iPhone 14 Pro Max, with the larger 6.7 inches iPhone replacing the mini model. Colors. The iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Pro could come in purple, according to an unverified rumor. Though unconfirmed, the rumor suggests that both the iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Pro models will be available in a purple shade that has a unique finish that shifts tone based on lighting conditions. Camera technology. All of the 2022 iPhones could see improvements to the ultra-wide camera, and the iPhone 14 Pro models will see significant improvements to the wide-angle camera and updates to the telephoto lens. Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo believes that the 2022 Pro iPhone models will feature a 48-megapixel wide camera, which would be a major improvement over the current 12-megapixel camera, and 8 Kelvin video recording capabilities. The 48-megapixel camera in the iPhone 14 Pro models will also be able to take 12-megapixel shots, likely through a process known as pixel binning. Pixel binning merges data from multiple smaller pixels on the camera's image sensor into one superpixel for improved low-light sensitivity. With this feature, the iPhone 14 Pro models may be able to take full 48-megapixel photos in situations with good lighting, but when lighting is poor, it will use the pixel binning process for a higher quality 12-megapixel photo that takes advantage of the 48-megapixel lens. Kuo believes that the 8 Kelvin video recording feature will allow iPhone recorded videos displayed on an 8 Kelvin display or TV to provide a better user experience, and that this resolution will allow the iPhone to create videos and images more suitable for augmented and mixed reality devices like the AR, VR headset that Apple has in development. 8 Kelvin video recording and the 48-megapixel wide lens will be limited to the Pro models, with the standard iPhone 14 models receiving a more modest camera setup. As for the front camera technology, all of the iPhone 14 models coming this year are expected to feature an upgraded front lens with a wider f/1.9 aperture and autofocus capabilities. A wider aperture would let more light to pass through the lens to reach the sensor for sharper, crisper photos and improved depth of field. The autofocus improvements would improve focus adjustments during video calls. New iterations of the iPhone typically come with an updated A-series chip, but Apple might deviate from standard operating procedure this year. According to Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, only the iPhone 14 Pro models will get a new and faster A16 chip. Kuo says that the standard iPhone 14 models will continue to use the same A15 Bionic that's in the iPhone 13 models, marking a significant differentiation between the Pro and non-Pro iPhones in 2022. And the rumor has been backed up by other sources. According to Kuo, the A16 chip may only be a minor upgrade over the A15 chip. The chip is expected to be built on the same N5P process used for the A15 chip, which limits improvements. Next generation N3 and N4P fabrication processes will not be available for mass production until 2023. Apple chip supplier TSMC has developed a new N4 process, but Kuo says that it has no meaningful advantages over N5P, so Apple will stick to N5P for the A16. The upgrade to the A16 is more for marketing than notable improvement, according to Kuo. RAM. According to Ming Chi Kuo, the iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Pro models will feature 6GB RAM, which is the same amount of RAM available in the iPhone 13 Pro models. This has also been corroborated by Taiwanese research firm TrendForce. Storage. With the iPhone 13 Pro models, Apple added a new 1TB storage tier, and rumors suggest that with the iPhone 14 upgrade, Apple could increase that even further to 2TB. This rumor comes from a source that's not always accurate, however, so it should be viewed with some skepticism until backed up by another more reliable source. Apple is expected to introduce the iPhone 14 models at an event that's likely to be held in September 2022, if Apple follows previous launch timeline. Most iPhone events take place during the first or second week of September. At least one of the iPhone 14 models is 3 weeks behind schedule because of pandemic-related delays in China, which means that there is potential for one of the upcoming devices to be delayed or in short supply at launch. Rumors have suggested that it is the 6.7 inches iPhone 14 Max that's delayed at the current time, but Apple analyst Ming Chi Kuo says that Apple has the situation under control, and suppliers will work overtime to catch up. Future iPhone rumors. Apple's first all-screen smartphone could come in 2024 with the launch of the iPhone 16 Pro. The device might be the first to feature under-display Face ID and an under-screen front camera, according to Apple analyst Ming Chi Kuo. 2023 iPhones are expected to feature the same will have a dual-hole cutout similar to this year's iPhone 14 Pro models, says display analyst Ross Young. The 2023 models will use the same design with circular cutout and pill-shaped cutout, and the feature won't be limited to the Pro models. The pill and hole design could shrink a bit, but it will be a couple years before Apple is ready for full under-display Face ID.